Well, thanks so much for being here. I thought the data stories have been great. I'm going to do this 20-minute lightning round, just give you a lot of food for thought. My name's Michael Schiff. I run business operations at Heroku. I grew up outside of New York, so it was really cool to be a tourist and take the Circle Line last night. That's the Freedom Tower at night. If you haven't done it, I really heartily recommend that you do that. A couple of other things that I think about when I think of New York. You got the USS Intrepid Black and Whites, which are like the best desserts ever. New York's finest, and $6 bottled water. So a little bit about Heroku. Any Heroku users here? Any Heroku customers here? Cool, thank you. So Heroku Cloud Application Development, one-stop shop, everything you need to deploy applications, maintain them in the cloud. We look at the applications that you develop and deploy in 3 different areas, things we call dynos, which are like the engines of your app. Add-ons like a SendGrid or a monitoring tool, email logging, those kind of things, and of course, a myriad of different databases. And the really cool thing about Heroku is you can do 108 different things on the platform. The really scary thing for somebody like me is you can do 108 different things on the platform. So what I really want to spend the next 19 minutes of talking about is how did we dig into that? How did we figure out what we cared about, what we didn't care about across those 108 different things? So there's quite a lot there. I think you heard Jen mention this morning in the keynote that Heroku is a subsidiary of Salesforce, got acquired back in 2010. When I started, it was about 50 employees, about 250, size of Looker now. And GTM being go-to-market, we had two go-to-market employees, which is like a salesperson and a marketing person. And now we have about 50. So it's been some really incredible growth. We interact with our customers 2 different ways. We have this Salesforce co-prime channel. So any Salesforce customers here? Figured usually get more Salesforce customers than Heroku customers. So you actually can buy Heroku through standard old Salesforce. It's part of the platform cloud or app cloud strategy. But then you can just go to Heroku.com, sign up, swipe your credit card, and off you go. And that's really pertinent to what we're going to be discussing, those 2 different channels. Within business operations, we manage all of the operational components for the salespeople, marketing people, product and engineering. The big one around finance is we do a lot of work around AWS. And if anybody's doing AWS analysis, I'd love to talk to you about it. We think we're doing a pretty good job, but can always learn more. Our AWS bill is a few million a month. So anytime that we can cut that bill down a little bit by doing some analysis, it really helps. So I'd love to talk to you about that. So the co-prime side of the world, where you have the salespeople out there, we have lead generation, standard demand generation. A lot of people call this sales 2.0, high volume, low touch funnel. So this is a situation where you're using Salesforce or some other tool. You have lots of downloads. You have lots of inquiries coming in. You have this waterfall funnel where you have an inside sales group and they're qualifying them in, qualifying them out. Hey, we got a live one. Send them over to the salespeople to go and qualify them more. And either sell them something or you don't. And it's pretty linear. It's pretty easy in today's vernacular to do this kind of work. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. If you have any questions, let me know. Really what I want to talk about is this situation where you have here where it's really not linear, where a customer comes to the Heroku website, they poke around, maybe they go to the dev zone, and then they register for an account. And then frankly, all hell can break loose because there's 108 different things that they could be doing, and they could be doing it all different ways. There is no rhyme or reason, there's no order to it. So a lot of things you were hearing this morning in some of the keynote discussions and some of the other folks just talking about, we're just trying to figure out what people are doing. It's a lot of what we've been focusing on the last 4 years, really tearing down that brick wall between our customers and my internal customers. So what do you do when you have to solve a problem? You create a project. And what are the 2 most important things you have to do at the beginning of each project? Little audience participation. What are the first 2 things you need? Oh, come on. What's that? You need a name. I'll help you with that one. Come on. You need a goal? No, scope? No. You need like a really cool logo, right? So, okay. I mean, come on, scope? Okay. So I'm really old, and I realized that I was actually twice the age of like most of the people here. So my first logo was this. Does anybody know what this is? Thank you. All right, excellent. Because you want to dig into the data, and it's like, and then I told it to my team, average age of about 20, and they're like, what is that? Okay, Mike Zhu, you cannot answer this one. What is that? Pachinko. Look, Mike, he never listens. He hasn't listened for 4 years. That's a pachinko machine. So a pachinko machine is like a vertical pinball machine, and it has a little lever, and it shoots the ball in. And you see those little metal pins. And what happens is the ball hits the pin, and it kind of goes all over the place. And the idea is you want to get it into the little baskets, and then more balls come up and lights up and everything else. That's kind of how the journey is, trying to figure out what a user does on the Heroku platform, because it just goes all over the place. And just when you figure it out, like they're over here, and you're coming back down, it's actually a pretty addictive game. So it wasn't pachinko, it was pachinku for Heroku, right, Mike Zhu? Okay, all right. Actually the Zhu was for Mike Zhu, that's why we did that, just he could believe that. Okay, so now we had to come up with the scope, and what is it that we were trying to do? We wanted to have a number of deliverables. We really wanted to make this all about leveraging the data that we can get off the customer platform. And I was kind of doing this real time earlier when Frank was talking about no data brawls. So the next thing was, like, we wanted to have a single version of the truth. The coolest thing is when we're sitting in a meeting and somebody says, oh, no, we don't have to worry about the definition. That's already in Looker. That's already taken care of. So one of the things that somebody mentioned was monthly active users. We spend so much time to figure out what the heck a monthly active user is and how to define it. And of course, once we did that, we subsequently changed the definition of it. And what was really cool, even though it was across a couple of hundred looks, we just changed the definition and boom, it was automatically there. So when we say make it available in real time, we're really talking about real time. We have something like 10 million different events happening on the customer platform, on the Heroku platform every day. And some of those things are really important for us to know about right away. Some of it is abuse information. Somebody's doing something on the platform they shouldn't be. Let's funnel that over to security. Somebody's doing something interesting that our customer advocates, aka salespeople, would want to know about. We want to get that to them within an hour. So really serving it up in real time and serving it up a lot of different ways. We talk a lot about tell them again, real-time alerts, reports, dashboards, schedule reports, all of those kind of things. So we really try and have this information show up a variety of different ways. And really the teach and the fish, make sure there's no data breadlines, really make sure that that our internal customers can go and get that data themselves, or that information themselves. So here is our approach, and this is the approach that we took. Number one, we spent a lot of time on the infrastructure. By a lot of time, probably like a few months. And then we decided what metrics we wanted to track, come up with a common definition. And this is really important. This is my first lessons learned, don't do it our way. Number three and number four. Number four, what we don't care about is it's important to discuss about what we do care about. One of the things that we would get into all the time is, well, don't we care about this? Don't we care about this? We would finally go in there and we'd see if we would care about it. And if we don't, may we never speak of it again. So we had like some metrics. We're like, well, what about this? No, we already covered that. We don't care about that. Let's go try something else. So it's important to talk about what we care about and what we don't care about. And then once we figure it out, how is it changing over time? What does that mean? You got to go change something. You got to go change something in your organization. A perfect example is we did this level up campaign. Level up campaign says, oh, you're using this dyno, and like maybe you're using a 2-cylinder dyno. Well, for the next month, we'll let you use a 4-cylinder dyno for no extra cost. And this is going to be awesome, and people are going to see how great it is to use this more powerful engine underneath their application, and it totally bombed. It was totally bombed. May we never speak of production or of level up campaign again. Now, when we did that was really cool was a production health check campaign where we sent all of our customers an email that says, look, we know a little bit about applications and we want to let you know that we automatically ran this production health check against your application, and we looked at these 5 things. And your app doesn't do all of those 5 things really well, so here are some links to some DevZone articles. Here's my number if you want me to talk to you. And that was like wildly successful. So we talk a lot about more of this, less of that. And then just keep repeating. So some of the metrics you see on your right side there are a lot of the metrics that we use for our online platform, tracking, those kind of things. Okay. The other really cool thing is we came up with is the idea of this XVA, these value activities. High value activities, low value activities, and negative value activities. We basically bucketed, I know the Etsy presenter talked a lot about buckets. We're all about the buckets. So we looked and said, out of those 108 things, What are the things we care about and don't care about? But then where do they fall into these buckets? Basically, what do we want to do with them? So high value activities, though, could be like, oh, somebody just installed a really spendy add-on out of our ecosystem, or they're really starting to spend money really quickly, or their application got to a certain size. Let's make a high hand raise. Let's get that right to the customer advocate. Let's have them having a conversation, really talk to them about how they're using Heroku. Now, something that's interesting, but maybe not worth a human, would be a low-value activity. So maybe somebody visited the dev zone a whole bunch of times, or they installed an add-on, but it was a free add-on. So they haven't necessarily shown that they're ready to spend money yet, but there's a lot of nurturing that we could be doing with them. So we have a lot of nurturing campaigns that we throw through Pardot, and then hopefully enough information or enough activity happens where they do something interesting, and then you put a human in front of them. Probably the biggest thing we wrestle with is when to put a human in front of somebody and when not to. So that's part of our wash, rinse, repeat. But then there's the negative value activities. What are people doing that is a sign of bad things happening, that they're gonna leave the platform? I could tell you one of the things that we did horribly wrong was, well, when their spend goes down to zero or close to zero, you might wanna talk to them, they're gone. They have left the building by that time. So some of the things you might want to look at is, wow, a month ago they had 20 apps, now they have 15 apps. Or they had these spendy add-ons and they're reducing that. And there's a bunch of like application traffic. Some of them are exact opposite of the HVAs. So we spend a lot of time internally talking about, is that an HVA, an NVA, LVA? And that really forms a ton of our discussions. All right, so that's a really big one. If I have one slide to leave you with, that would be that one.